Thank you, Bob. On behalf of Vanishing Seattle, over the past few years, many of Seattle's communities have experienced unprecedented gentrification and displacement, not only of residents, but long-standing businesses and institutions that support our social fabric and cultures. The development that we're seeing is for the most part producing housing and goods that are out of reach of, and in many cases contributing to the displacement of low-income, working and middle-class families and seniors, immigrants and people of color, artists and creatives and service workers. Basically anyone who's not pulling down a six-figure salary. So many residents feel that what's being created is not actually meant for us. My question is, as mayor, what steps would you take that are holistic, community-driven, and value cultural preservation to ensure that all of our communities, especially prioritizing those hardest hit by gentrification and displacement, can survive and thrive in place?
That's a very good question, and representing the 11th Legislative District, which is South Seattle, we are suffering disproportionately from the gentrification and the displacement that's happening. What's going on is the displacement is being caused by a couple of different reasons in my mind. Number one is those regressive taxes, property taxes, and even sales taxes making the cost of living prohibitive to be in Seattle for those on fixed and low and even middle income folks. One of the other reason for the gentrification and displacement is that the cost of housing is just escalating so much because there's way more people that want to live in Seattle than there are available units for them to live in, which pushes the cost up. So I think that what we should really be talking about is a massive increase in public housing construction, and doing that with also the arts communities, because art communities, yeah, I know Mr. Zimmerman is not been very supportive of anything that any serious conversation anybody is trying to have about any of these issues. All he does is throw tomatoes from the outside. So what we're trying to do though is drastically increase the number of available units, which will keep the appreciative costs on housing down. So we can only do that, and that gets back to the financing question. That's the whole purpose of building this publicly owned bank, because that will drastically increase our financing capacity to be able to build sufficient public housing so that everybody who wants to and deserves to live in the city can do that. And we can use it in a directive fashion, like providing artists housing and building collectives, which there are a lot of those going on in Georgetown, South Seattle, right the old Rainier Brewery area. So that would be my realistic, drastically increase the amount of public housing.
Thank you. So previous candidates had addressed creating more affordable housing as solutions. So from my standpoint, affordable housing isn't actually affordable. It's going based off of the median income of people in Seattle. So I want to know, what is the difference between low income, affordable, and public housing?
So that's the fundamental issues. People are confusing public housing and affordable housing, because affordable for many people, nothing is affordable. Yet everybody deserves to have housing. Housing is a human right. And in a civilized society, we need to be able to provide shelter for everybody who wants to be here. We can only do that through a public housing strategy. So when we're talking about affordability, that's your question about what is the difference between affordable and public housing. You know, right now they're using this HALA program, which I guess you're familiar with HALA, which to me is just sort of a sellout to the developers, because there is no way that we can go to developers and ask them to set aside enough quote-unquote affordable housing to meet the demand that we've got. It's just too overwhelming. And what we're doing is asking developers to do something that's not necessarily in their own self-interest. I wouldn't expect developers to agree to anything. They'd bargain it down to zero if they could, right, set aside. So that's a failed strategy in my mind. What we need to be doing there again is building public housing, because once we build public housing, we are the owners. We, the public, are the owners, We then get to set the rents. We can say what we want to charge. We can make it affordable for somebody who's unemployed just as much as we can make it affordable for the six-figure person. We don't have to, when I talk about public housing, people have this image about, oh, we're just building these dilapidated projects again. And that. Public housing doesn't have to be that way. If we are committed to public housing can be as nice as anything that you would see being built anywhere right now. If you look at some of the global cities like Berlin, for instance, over 50% of their housing is owned by the city. They don't necessarily have a public housing or a housing crisis in those big cities. So that's how we address that. Hope that answers your question.
Okay, I think I'm out of time, but thank you. You'll hear from my mom on my further questions.